Hey, man.
How's it going, Chop?
All right, buddy. Pretty excited about today's interview.
Yeah, it should be excellent.
Yeah, I really like Voivod. It's a,
Yeah,
it's a different band. There's only one band sounds like Voivod, man. So
right. Yeah, I think you can definitely hear how they've influenced other bands, like like Primus and things like that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
What's up,
never.
Brad?
Howdy,
It
fellas.
it feels weird coming back, I have to tell you.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it's like I was kind of
It's a little
just
odd.
First back in 3 months, and we're talking about our fucking ailments.
That's
and getting
right.
Our oil changes.
We got a lot of catching up to do.
I know. Yeah, and I think the best thing for your anxiety, Joe, would be to
Smoke
enjoy
more weed.
some baking. Yeah, Kim and I went up to
I tried
Loom.
one of the gummies. I don't know, it was the orange one,
Oh yeah, the center. Yeah,
and it was
it's nice.
made me relaxed.
Yeah, it's only 5
Mhm.
milligrams, so it's not crazy, crazy strong. Like these new ones that I got from Loom because we went up there last week before last rather, and these are Mr. X, inspired by uh Carl Sagan, who wrote an essay on cannabis as Mr. X. So
Oh,
here's all these are like 20 milligrams. These are like 4 times the size. I cut them into quarters. Um, but yeah, I've been really just enjoying the cannabis lifestyle. So really just pretty much every day.
yeah.
Like if I'm tired, I have some sativa, some
Mhm.
help me mental clarity and focus. But in the evenings, I want to fucking unwind, and between the gummies and this fucking Harry Potter strain, Jesus Christ, this is good stuff. Uh, man,
You're a fiend. That's all you want to talk about anymore is your
I
weed.
know. I got a lot of
You're
years to catch up on.
You're so
I
obsessive.
should be wearing my hat. I know. Hey, OCPD is it's
He's,
obsessive compulsive as part of that diagnosis.
he's
If
not
you're
even
gonna,
aware he has two friends on the show with him right now. He's like, fuck it. I'm just obsessed with weed. I don't care about you guys.
yeah.
Hey,
Hi,
hey,
bonjour, Michel. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
It is so nice to meet you,
Excellent.
and welcome to Heavy Metal Horror.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It is our pleasure. We are all very excited to talk with you. We had just been catching up. This is our first show back. We took a few months off from doing this show. We started the show about 18, almost 2 years ago, and we went straight for a good 18, 19 months. And we're like, let's just take some time off. We've been doing this for a while. Let's just slow down. And so this is our first show back of the new season. So it's really exciting for us.
Sounds great.
Excellent. So you're doing pretty well today? Nice and sunny from I see from where you're at.
It's there's a snowstorm in Montreal, but which is okay. It's it's the winter.
Right.
It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent.
unlike most people, I'm a fan of winter. I don't mind the snow and the cold. I enjoy it. I don't like heat.
Me too. Yeah, Voivod, we formed in northern Quebec, and it was pretty cold there. And we had the northern lights and everything in a long winter,
wow.
so I'm pretty used to it. Actually, Montreal is a warmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm a fan of winter as well. I have it cold than hot. It's easy to get warmed up, but not so much to cool off. So
I'm not. I'm ready for summer. Bring it on.
oh, Chop. He's like the sore thumb that won't go away.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're in
well,
northern Ohio here, so it's
Yeah,
we're all in
yeah.
northern Ohio, so it's it's a pretty long winter.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Pretty dreary.
Yeah, especially this year in USA, it's been strange. From what I saw on the news in Buffalo and all that, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
they got absolutely buried.
They got dumped about 5 feet of snow. Yeah.
Mhm.
Probably about was it 27 centimeters? Or I'm gonna guess. No. Is it 2 centimeters per inch? I can't do metric, man. I'm sorry. 50 centimeters of snow.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah,
Actually,
maybe
for us,
100.
yeah, for us, it's been pretty mild winter,
Mhm.
really. The temperatures have been pretty mild and not very much snow, so it's been pretty easy so far.
Yeah,
Cool.
not
I
bad.
like
Just
that.
just
Yeah.
the one, just over Christmas, it was really cold, but
Yeah.
not so bad at all. So, well, Michel, do you have any questions for us, or would you like to get going?
Oh, I just want to be sure what is the concept of your show. I just know the title of the show, so is it about horror movies or?
Only
our
if you're into
fans,
that.
right? We discuss both horror films and heavy metal or music, different genres.
Okay.
So Chop
All
Top and I are both horror fans. Dreadbull is not so much a horror fan, but we all love similar kinds of music. So our questions focused on, depending on who the guest is, we could definitely talk about horror, but I also really want to talk about your new album because I'm an Ultraman fan as well. So
Cool.
yeah, we ask a lot of questions. We have some fun games. We try not to do the same kind of like boring questions that you're gonna get when you go on tour, later this year. So we just try to have fun.
Sure.
All right, well, we're gonna do our fantastic intro, and then we are gonna get right to it.
All right.
All right.
Hey, this is Michael Gilbert from Flotsam and Jetsam, and you're watching Heavy Metal Horror.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always.
Hey, this is Chop Top, and this one's going to be ultra synchro anarchistic.
Dreadbull.
And you are watching and listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Oh, kiddies, welcome to season 2. Ooh, getting the rust off. First episode in months, but we've got a great guest. We've got Michel Langevin from VOIVOD. Michel, welcome to Heavy Metal Horror.
Hey, salut.
My French is pretty bad, so was that close? Is it Langevin? Is that close?
Perfect, actually.
Okay.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah.
I learned only one thing when I took
Come on,
5
Tag.
semesters of Français.
Finally did something right. Good.
Right.
for
I can
you.
ask for a lot of cheese, and I can say swear words. That's about it.
I took
Michel-
French, but I failed. So sorry.
There you go. Right.
I will not even attempt.
Michel, we'd like to ask, we'd like to start off with some background questions, and then we're gonna, we have some fun games, and we're gonna have a good time. So,
Okay.
when did you first get into music?
Oh, I was maybe around 9 or 10. I really got into the Beatles, and actually, I was walking down the street when I was a kid, and I saw the neighbor, a kid, and he was in a family. They were like kind of the Partridge family. Like the father had the whole family were all in a band, and they were called the Teddy Boys. And anyhow, the kid was sitting on the sidewalk with an acoustic guitar, playing Beatles songs and singing fake lyrics because we're French, and and anyhow, he knew all the chords and everything. And then he explained to me, I'm in a band with my family. And I was really impressed. So I went to his place, and in the living room, they had like gear from the 60s and early 70s all over the place. And I immediately checked out the drums. It was sparkly, and also the cymbals reminded me of flying saucers. I was immediately attracted to it. And so he played me the Beatles albums that his older brothers had, and I was really hooked. And the older brother, who was the owner of the drum kit, he had hidden the drumsticks, so nobody could play on it. So we found his Pro Cues, and we cut them out. He was furious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyhow, that was my first experience trying to play the Beatles with pull cues on the drum kit, and I loved it. I was hooked. And so from then, like in the mid 70s, I was maybe around 12. I asked for Kiss Alive 1 for Christmas, and I got it. And So the whole family were like, put it on, put it on. And then I put it on, and they're like, take it off, take it off. And I was like, yeah.
You know you win when people
That's
run away
great.
from your music. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was playing the Peter Chris stuff and all that, and then my sister, older sister, had a new boyfriend, and he showed up with like a muscle car with 8-track tapes of Deep Purple in rock, Led Zeppelin 2, Uriah Heep, Demons and Wizards, and stuff like that. My mind was blown. That's why I realized I still had a lot to learn on drums, because these drummers were incredible,
Yeah.
And so I just moved into heavier and heavier stuff, from Kiss and Alice Cooper to Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and all that. And so I was trying to learn the hard rock material on drums, but since prog rock was huge in Quebec, I was learning, yes, Genesis, Vandergraaf Generator, King Crimson at the same time. So trying to instinctively blend the two. I didn't know it was possible until I saw, I think it was 78, the band UK with Terry Bozzio. They were opening for Jethro Tull. And it's really where I realized that prog rock drummer could really rock. And so I sort of kept going into that direction until I discovered the Pistols, the Dam, and so my style became more tribal on toms. But I was mainly concentrating on doing art. And I didn't take the drums that seriously until I saw and heard the first Iron Maiden album. It's really where in 1980, with the new wave of British heavy metal, it was like a new decade. We were all 16 or 17. That was our music. And it's really where I started thinking, man, I'd love to play drums, as a living, but it seemed impossible, coming from Northern Quebec and all that. So I actually quit school. I waited to quit school until the War and Pain album came out in '84. And then it had a pretty good impact. And I realized maybe we could make it professionally, And this year is our 40th anniversary.
Yes,
so,
congratulations. Happy
Unbelievable,
anniversary.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Well,
an amazing accomplishment
That
right
is,
there.
yeah,
And
40
you're
years
still
in
going
any
strong,
business. Right.
Well,
And-
yes.
It's not like Voivod has fizzled at all.
no,
know.
no. If anything, I
know.
think your music's gotten more complex, but
Yeah.
maintaining this really hybrid between the heavy and the prog, it's distinctively Voivod, which is what I really like about the band.
We actually starting around the Post Society EP. We started to go back into that fusion metal direction, and it's a great challenge. All these intricate beats and time signatures, and but it's just great. I feel at ease with it because, like I said, I learned to play on heavy metal, but also with Soft Machine, Magma, and King Crimson. So it's all good,
It's
Yeah,
interesting
And
you
plus,
talk
yeah,
Oh,
and plus it's been really well accepted, that new fusion metal, the thing with the twist that we have, the people love the latest material, so it gives us confidence that we can experiment sonically and all that with string quartets or brass quintets, or like we did at the Montreal Jazz Festival. So we're just going to explore new territories, since it seems like we are appreciated for it.
Yeah, Synchro Anarchy, I was going to say, what a magnificent album. And it was definitely in my top 10 of 2022. So kudos on that. That was fantastic. One of your best.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a very strange and unusual process, because when we came back from touring with Guar in Europe in 2019, we took a bit of a break for the holidays, and then we started in early 2020 recording ideas that we had recorded in the tour bus. And but all of a sudden in mid-March 2020, everything stopped and the pandemic hit us and we couldn't have access to our rehearsal space anymore. So we first looked at what we had in the bank, and we, on the Wake tour, we had recorded the Montreal Jazz Fest and the Quebec City Summer Fest. So we were able to release an EP and a vinyl, a live album, the End of Dormancy EP, and also the Lost Machine live album. But at the same time, we're trying to figure a way to write a new album while socially distancing. So I was programming the drums for the demos, and we are trading files with Dropbox, and we synced on Logic Pro, and so that was quite a learning process. But I think we came out of it better equipped for future releases. And of course, it's only in 2021 that we were able to get into a studio, and that's where everybody morphed, everything morphed into VOIVOD material. But for a while, we were working on it without even meeting up, so it was quite a puzzle.
Yeah, if that would have happened in the early days, you'd have been just completely screwed. There's no way you would have been able to get together or share ideas or music. Luckily it happened when it did, where you had some tools at your disposal where you could still do some work and still collaborate a little bit and create things.
Yeah, it's true. That's unbelievable what we can do now, and everything is being more convenient. Of course, like back in the days, I was shipping my paintings to Berlin or LA, and now I use WeTransfer.com. So
yeah,
so it's a new era, and we try to use it as much as we can. And I think that in a way it gave a style to the album where everything became very surgical. And then at one point we had leftovers that we were sticking together, bits of songs, and so that's why I think on Synchro Anarchy there are songs where we turn on a dime, like we did during the Dimension Hat Ross or Nothing Face days, but I think that because Chewy and Rocky are fans of all Voivod eras, I can hear elements of all the eras onto that album with that new fusion metal twist. So yeah, it was quite an accomplishment. And now, I mean, it's been on many end of the year lists, so it's great. And plus we started touring internationally, and we were afraid that people would be reluctant to show up, but the places were packed. So we have a great momentum, and now there are 3 or 4 generations of people into Voivod, with people with kids on their shoulders, and it's really amazing.
Going back to those early days, you talked about your all the influences, from the Beatles onto Kiss and those guys, and some of the punk that came in later, and you were able to kind of embrace all of those different influences and kind of morph them into your own thing and create kind of your own sound out of all that. And not every band will embrace different things like that. I remember early Iron Maiden, they were getting pressured to play punk because that's what was really popular back then, and they were like, no way, that's just not us. But can you talk a little bit about that and just your willingness to go ahead and embrace that stuff? And then how do you take all that and make it your own and make something unique to you?
I just loved music and tried to combine all the styles I could absorb. And I had no problems in high school going from the people into hard rock to the people into punk to the people into prog, and hang out with everybody. And so I remember there was a deal at the store for 3 albums for $10, and I bought Kiss Rock and Roll Over, and the Pistols, never mind the Bollocks, and Gentle Giant, The Power and the Glory. So to me, it was all great music, but there were people who were into one style and didn't trust the other people into the other style of music. It was not my case, and it was never the case for the members of Voivod. So that's why we tried to absorb everything we could, and like when what we call alternative music appeared with Bauhaus and Killing Joke, and we absorbed that as well, and industrial music and so on and so on. So we're pretty very open-minded about everything. It's just that at times it sort of played against us, where we put a couple of albums out that were not in sync with what was going on in the mainstream, especially in the early 90s. But these albums like Angel Rat and Outer Limits are very well liked now, 30 years down later, So in a way, we were always evolving in a parallel dimension, and doing our own thing, but it's paying off in the end. And as for my drum style, the fact that I was able to explore many styles, now I can play many styles these days. And Chewy is quite a composer, and I have to sometimes really scratch my head and okay, what can I play on this? And I usually have the old trick of one of my favorite drummers is Guy Evans from Van der Graaf. And every time I heard Van der Graaf as a kid, I thought he was playing backwards. And so I had this habit fairly young because of him, of thinking, okay, normally I would play this, so I will play the opposite and put the snare a time later and so on. And it always surprises everybody in the room when we are rehearsing new riffs. But once they get it, it takes a new turn and another avenue. So I don't even know if I answered your question very well.
No, absolutely.
No, you did. That's one of the things I like about your music, is that some of the chords chosen are almost like discordant. There's a discord. It's a sound that confronts and clashes, but it works. It's these odd chords, like, oh, that's coming out, and it time changes and the chord progressions that you don't expect. And that's what I think makes your music so exciting, is because you can't predict what's going to happen, and it doesn't sound like what you think it might. And so I think that's one reason why we all like Voivod so much, is we like prog, we like metal, we like prog, we all like different styles of music, and you've incorporated so much of this. And I can hear your influences on bands like Primus, as well as other punk bands as well. So I mean, that's a pretty amazing legacy that you guys have created for over 40 years.
Yeah, the chords, the Voivodian chords, Piggy came up with it, and I know that he was influenced by guitar players that had strange chords in the first place, like Alex Lifeson from Rush or Robert Fripp from King Crimson.
Mm-hmm.
But one day I asked him, where did you find all of these chords that young? And he told me that he played Emerson, Lake, and Palmer on guitar. So we played Keith Emerson's organ parts on guitar, and that's where he found most of his chords. So immediately he had this strange style when we got together. And when same with Snake, when we asked Snake, can you for his audition, can you learn the Ripper from Judas Priest? And he came on January 7th, 1983, and he sang it like Johnny Rotten. So mixed with Piggy's strange chords, and it all made sense right away to my ears, except that to the general metal scene, we were a bit odd. But we, as soon as we started touring, internationally, first with Celtic Frost and then Possess and Creator, we realized that we fit right in with that new thrash metal movement that was exploding.
Yeah.
Were you guys ever pressured by labels or anything to get steered into a more acceptable, quote unquote, acceptable form of music, or to do something that was maybe more popular at the time?
No, I think that when we did the most commercial stuff for Angerat and Auto Limit, it was our own decision, but we were conscious that since there was a lot of money put in by Universal and CA, that we had to deliver something that could have some airplay somewhere. But even then, it was a bit too weird for the mainstream, But I think the labels we dealt with so many labels, and they always trusted us with whatever we were going to supply to them. It's just that when Snake left the band in '94, and then we found Eric Forrest and became a trio. We wanted to go back to our hardcore roots, and we wrote the material as a trio and then supplied the demos to Universal in '95, and they thought we were too heavy, and they didn't know how to promote it. And instead of shelving the contract, they said you're free to shop around, and which was great because at that time I had friends on major labels that had albums shelved or couldn't use the name anymore, like Carcass, and so yeah, it was a good thing that we had a great relationship with MCA, because all of a sudden we were free to shop around and went back the indie way for around the mid-90s.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I guess you could understand the label's difficulty in promoting a band like Voivod, because it's like, well, how do you describe them, or how
It transcends genre.
It really
You know,
would
yeah.
be a difficult,
Yeah,
from
I
their
think
perspective.
that we had a 7 albums contract with MCA, so we had the Nothing Face, Angerad, the Best Stuff, and Outer Limits, so we had more to offer, but they just thought the new direction was too heavy for their roster, so we understood,
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your new album, Ultraman. It covers Ultraman theme songs. I've been an Ultraman fan since I was like 4 years old, and just loved it. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, come on, this is fantastic. So, are you the Ultraman fan? And if so, what is your earliest memory of watching Ultraman?
Oh, I would say mainly Snake and I were big fans, but so is Chewy, who can speak Japanese. But Chewy was not familiar with the older episodes from the '60s, I believe, like Snake and I were, because it was translated in French when we were kids and playing on the TV, and like it gave us nightmares. And it's actually I remember having nightmares about some giant monsters chasing me, and whenever I would see an episode, and I don't know if you remember how it started with this abstract imagery and a sort of abstract music as well. It was
the paint
scary.
swirls,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
Yeah,
like it was always scary when it the thing is also whenever I would see an episode, my first instinct was to draw the monster I had seen in the episode. So these were my early drawings were based on Ultraman, and
nice.
So when we were doing the Synchro Anarchy sessions, and we were looking for a bonus track for let's say the Japanese release, and it's Chewy came up with the idea we should do Ultraman, and then we thought, oh, okay, then you could sing the Japanese verse, and so but the thing is we in between the intro team and the outro team, we decided to include the battle scene music. Every episode there is a battle between an Ultraman and the monster, and then there's always this very cool music happening then. And then we decided to include that in the music, and that's where it became a problem, where the Victory team, which is the battle scene, is not the same publishing company as the intro and outro scene. And by the time we were able, like the publishers saw it as a medley. And by the time we got the rights for the whole thing, it was too late to put it on the Synchro Anarchy album. And so we thought, okay, then let's release a vinyl and for the Opet tour that we did in the fall last year in Europe. And so that then we're trying to figure out a B-side for the whole thing. And for the Synchro Anarchy album, we had a special edition where we added a show that we played up north, where we formed in 2018. It's called Return to Morgoth, and it was a 35th anniversary show. And we had lost the encore. So on the bonus for Synchro Anarchy, there's only there's the show without the encore. So we tracked down the encore, found it, and put it on the B side of the EP, Ultraman EP. So it was a great experience, you know. Tried to make, actually, we're just trying to make everything available that we can to the people into VOIVOD. We always feel that they've been so loyal, and we always feel that they deserve it. But I must say that not that many people know about Ultraman at all, and that we didn't know.
It's huge in Japan. I mean, there's a brand new Ultraman movie. Shin Ultraman just came out, and there's a brand new Ultraman series. It's like the 30th series or something like that. It's it's ongoing. It's like SpongeBob is here in the States. It's just everywhere, all the time, every day. Have you ever met any of the Ultraman actors?
No.
Science Patrol?
No, but we probably gonna have to play it next time we play Tokyo, I guess.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I met Ben Furuya, who was in the suit. He's the suit actor who did, Ultraman.
Nice.
It's very, very cool. Yeah. So if you ever are in Chicago in July, there's a festival called G-Fest. It's celebrates Godzilla and other Japanese giant monster stuff. And often these actors will come and they're guests for the weekend. So yeah, I'll send you some information if you're interested. But I know you got a busy 2023. So
oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
That 40th anniversary tour we're gonna be doing is it's already the dates are coming at me, and yeah, it's starting in April in Europe, and then May in the USA, June in Europe again, and then I think August in Europe again, and then in the fall USA again. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's going to be very, very busy, which is great. Starting fairly soon, so trying to wrap everything up before we go for a long while.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be awesome. Well, speaking of touring, do you prefer playing smaller venues or larger arenas? I mean, from a fan's point of view, being close to a band is really fantastic, but what's it, from your point of view?
Oh, I like them all, man, and I like everything is very different. The last tour we did with Uppet last fall, we played giant venues, but then after that we had shows on our own in Italy, Greece, and also Turkey, and these were on smaller clubs on our own, and the vibe was amazing everywhere all the way through. And we've played with Jason Newsted, we played the Ozfest when he was also playing with Ozzy. So it was another setup for the whole summer of 2003. We went across USA playing the Ozfest, and it was amazing. So I have like great memories of all the setups, but that there is one thing that struck me is maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we played with Metallica in Quebec City in front of 100,000 people. And the next day, we played a surprise show in the street for the street people. And I was more nervous in the street in front of, such a small crowd of people just walking by, and because they were like just there watching me and the show with Metallica was a huge mass of people that it became blurry, and I just focused on the drums. So it doesn't mean, like, if you play in a huge place doesn't mean you're going to be more stressed out. But I learned to control it. But there was also one time we opened for Rush with a smaller tour in Canada when we released the Nothing Face album, and they were heroes, of course. But I had seen people getting booed off the stage opening for Rush, so I was scared. But when we played Astronomy Domine from Pink Floyd, the crowd roar louder than the music, so that's where I realized, okay, we're all right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a few more questions to ask you about being on tour, because these are the kinds of things that we like to know, because we don't go on tour. We've never done that, so we like to know these kind of fun things. What is your favorite food to eat on the road?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. Man, going from one country to the other, it's different, and we try to actually eat the local food as much as we can. So I would just say the local food, because that's where it's part of the experience, really. And along with walking a bit around the club to check the architecture, but I must say, the walking around, I don't do as much as back in the days, because I always have to remember that I'm going to play 90 minutes of double kick drums at night. And this year I'm going to be 60. So I try to eat very, very well, sleep a lot. And it's a lot of work where people think you're going on a holiday, but we come back pretty burnt out. And we learn, like, we've toured a lot with Napalm Death, and they're kind of like us, where they won't take a day off because it's too expensive. So we tend to play back to back, and for a month or more, and then it's a lot of work. So I think it must have been around 98. I saw the band Whitesnake here in Montreal, and I was watching Tommy Aldridge. He was kicking ass on drums, and he looked pretty old already. And I thought, if I want to be that guy later, I have to take care of myself. So I stopped partying and eating badly and all that, and tried to keep in shape as much as I can. And I think that judging by the last tours we did last year, I think I'm still good for another 10 years.
Nice.
All right.
Excellent. That's great to know.
Yeah.
Great to know.
Yeah, more music to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
50 years of Voivod coming up.
50 years
Yeah.
with decades of touring. You're
Yeah.
bound to have a couple outrageous road stories that you can share. I'm not asking for you to throw anyone under the bus, but what is one of your most
You can if you want,
outrageous? Well, you can if you want. Yeah, that's fine. What is one of your most outrageous touring stories that you can share with us?
Oh, there were some the early touring with Celtic Frost, Possess, Creator. These were pretty insane days, and there was a place. Well, it's not really a place where it's supposed to be heavy, but it's in San Diego. Where the guy who booked the show with Celtic Frost and Voivod, he hired his friends. They were like a sort of a gang. They looked like the Misfits mixed with skinheads, but anyway, they beat everybody up. And then they were supposed to be the security, And then when they realized that they had beaten everybody up, they looked around and, oh, there are bands to beat up. So it turned into a huge fight, and it was really, really crazy. With a couple of the crew guys we had hired, they were working for Motorhead, and they had baseball bats swinging around, and Reed St. Mark, the drummer, he was doing a solo where he had normal drumsticks and then bigger drumsticks and then huge drumsticks that they put in the drum shops as a demo for fun. And it was doing a solo. Anyhow, Piggy had grabbed these big drumstick and was swinging around. It was totally insane. And so that was a crazy moment. There was a place where it was in Dallas. We were playing like it was almost like a squat, but they had electricity, and we were about to go on stage, and this was in the mid-80s as well, and we were not paid yet, and we told the guys we're not going on stage if we're not getting paid. He's like, really? And then he goes for a long while, and the place was getting packed with what we called car punks, and they were like punks with mohawks with cowboy boots. Anyhow, so the guy came back with a pile of money after. All right, so we played, big party, everything's cool. We go. The backstage was a room beside his room. The guy, the promoter, his office was his bedroom, and so we're like in our backstage room, and then we hear like somebody huge going in the corridor. So we looked around, and then the guy is like 8 feet tall. He's all dressed in white with a cowboy hat, and he goes with mirror shades too, and he goes past us, and he goes right to the promoter, and he takes like these big phones from the 80s with the rolling thing, takes it off the wall and bangs the guy's head.
Oh, no.
And it's like, when we call, you're gonna answer, motherfucker. and then we're like looking at each other like, okay, the tall dude is looking for his money that we have.
You just got paid.
Yeah. So I don't know where he took the money, but we had to get out of there. So we split by the back door to the pizza place across the street, came back much later by the back street, and then we saw the poor promoter on the sidewalk. He had a commotion. He was puking, and we're like,
oh boy.
so we're like, yeah, his back of the head was all like, he had. It was pretty bad, and. Welcome to USA.
Yeah. That's it. That's about it, man. Right.
So we're like, so we're telling the guy, we're telling the guy like, "Are you okay, man?" And he's like, "You guys were great." And then he's like, "I'm an asshole." And then he starts puking again. So yeah, so it just kept, these early days kept on going like that, with a huge riot in Bochum, Germany, when we played with Possess, where the crowd jumped the stage and destroyed the gear. The security ran for their lives. The militia came with dogs, and so
wow.
but it all seemed very exciting to us. It's we realized there was a dangerous element to it, but we were all in our early 20s, and so it was fun making new friends with these the bands were popping all over the place, and at first we were afraid that because of our accent that we wouldn't make it because of it. But as soon as we started touring with German bands and Sepultura and all that, we realized everybody has an accent. Nobody cares,
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I love that metal community kind of coming together, and I guess what it is, no matter what metalheads or people who like good music, it doesn't matter where you're from. The music speaks, and I guess that's good. Just make sure you pay. You don't want to be an asshole and not pay someone, right? One thing we like to ask is, talking about, a lot of bands have contract writers. They have things in their contract writers about specific foods or drinks or something. Can you tell me or tell us some of the quirky things, requests in your contract writer, if you have anything kind of that you think is quirky? Do you have like, special drinks or things like that?
No, it's pretty standard, and the only point that we have to make sure that there is a vegetarian food for Chewy, the guitar player, and that's about it. and there and a pack of Marlboro for Snake.
All right, nice.
Well, you guys are
nice.
easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. All right. I'd like to ask some kind of one-off questions. These could be just about anything that, you know, any topic. So, what would you tell your childhood self about being a professional musician?
Oh, I would really, I mean, I would tell, be prepared to be perseverant. If anything, Voivod will be remembered as an example of perseverance in a way. Um, but I have idols that I still admire, that I think still release great albums, you know, like Iggy Pop, Ozzy, Magma, Vandergraaf, Judas Priest, you know. But it's been quite a roller coaster ride with a lot of obstacles. And there were times where people were telling me that I was crazy to keeping on. But now that we are more popular than ever, I have the feeling that it was a good thing that I did.
Was there
Excellent.
ever a time when you thought it would you would just shut it down, that Voivod would just end at some point?
Yes, a couple of times. When Snake left in '94, when we had the crash in Germany in '98, and when with the unfortunate passing of Piggy in 2005. So yes, many times
Many times.
I had to either go back to school to learn 2D animation or 3D animation, or and thinking I would do something else. But I'm addicted to travels and to go around the planet playing Voivod music and meeting old friends, new friends is really what kept me. I always got back to music because of that, and we of course really missed it during the pandemic. So um, at first in end of 2020 and early 20 or mid 2021, we were doing online shows where we were revisiting classic albums like Dimension Atlas and Nothing Face, and it was great. But we couldn't wait until we could go back on the road. So in the 2021, in the summer, we started doing festivals in the province of Quebec where people were wearing masks. And so slowly but surely, it became more normal. And then in June of last year, we went in USA with Year of the Cobra. Immediately, we realized that things are getting back to normal. So I did a few festivals in Europe, a festival in Mexico, and then the great a couple of festivals in Quebec, and also a great tour with Opeth in Europe. And so yeah, we're back.
Nice. That's great.
Right.
You have met so many of your heroes and idols and other fellow musicians. Can you tell us what non-music celebrity you would most like to have a drink with?
Well, I would have to think about somebody who can draw and that is still alive. Probably Derek Riggs, who did the early Iron Maiden
Yeah.
album
Oh
covers.
yeah, great
Yes,
stuff.
I think he's my hero.
Oh, nice. Excellent. Excellent.
Oh my God, how many hours have we spent staring at
I
Iron Maiden
know.
album
I know.
covers, you
Yeah,
know?
We're all big
Yeah.
fans, and Dread and I would get the
Uh-huh.
albums, and we would just sit there and look at them, and
Yeah.
especially on an album like Somewhere in Time, where there was so much
Yeah.
involved and all the details, we were spotting like every other song reference in there.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
those albums. That gets what early fueled our imagination with that band,
Yeah.
and just realizing
Yeah.
they were not like any other band out there that we had heard of. It. You know.
No, and the visuals, you know, it's like when I got into the record shop, I saw it immediately, and
Yes.
it stuck out amongst the other covers, and I grabbed it before anybody could, and I was looking at the front, at the back, and I thought, this is my new favorite band. And then and I paid for it because you couldn't listen to it on YouTube back then. And then I put the needle on at home at my parents' place, and they were my favorite band. I knew first, you know, notes from from Prowler, you know, and So I had that in mind when I did the cover for War and Pain. I thought, okay, it has to attract the eye of the kid coming into the store, and also it has to represent the music and lyrics perfectly. So I was aiming at that, and I was sort of paying homage to the first Iron Maiden album cover. And then I learned decades later that the people at Metal Blade, the staff, they were really nervous because the drummer was doing the artwork.
Here's a stick figure.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a pretty bold move, but because I had only done a very tiny painting in high school for my grandmother, like a winter scene from Quebec, you know. And so to think that I was going to be able to do the front cover of the album, War and Pain, it was pretty bold. So it was my real first professional painting. But I think I was able to capture the Cold War apocalyptic era, you know?
Nice.
Well, on top of Voivod's music, you're also, well-renowned artist as well. You actually, I think I read in another interview, you recently released an art book. You have a collection of art that you're selling?
Yeah, I have 2 art books, and during the pandemic, when we were asked to reinvent ourselves, I started an online store, awayartpress.com, where I can sell my art books, and it has kept me very busy, where I have to ship books pretty much every day, and so which is great. So now I have a comic book and a book about the art of Voivod, but I'm working on my next book. Every town that we play, at the end of the day, usually on the notepad at the hotel that they supply, I even use the hotel pen. I draw my impression of the day, and this is my next book, is the road art, you know.
How did you develop your art style? Because like Voivod, it's a pretty unique style. You know, did you go to art school, or is this something you just developed on your own over time?
As long as I can remember, I was drawing, characters that I like, cartoons, but the earliest one I remember drawing is when I was about 4, maybe. I with my family, we went to relatives for Christmas, and my cousin, a bit older, he had drawn in his room on the wall. He had pinned a drawing of Atom Ant, and I don't know if you remember Atom Ant.
Oh yes. Yeah. Up and Atom Ant. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And he was my favorite cartoon character. And so I asked him, can you give it to me? And he said, no, but I can show you how to draw it. And then I never stopped since. And so there was also my older aunt. She had a cabin by a lake where I could go during the weekend, and she always she had newspaper to feed the fireplace, to start the fire, but she always saved me the weekend cartoon in the Sunday papers. And this was also something that I loved drawing. There was a character called the Phantom. He lived in a cranium on an island, and I really like to draw him. And but it's really when I saw in the mid-70s, there was a magazine that came out called Metal Hurlant, which became Heavy Metal Magazine, and that's was maybe 13 or something like that, and I saw it in the racks, and that's where I decided that I wanted to be a graphic artist for that specific magazine, and that's also where I started to create the mythology of Voivod for that magazine, where I read the book by Bram Stoker, Dracula, where they explained that Dracula was a voivod, some warlord, and I thought, wow, nuclear. At first, I thought a vampire called Voivod would be great for my comics, and it was more Dungeon and Dragons oriented, with more God as the planet that the Voivod was guarding, you know. But they were that this was for comics I wanted to make, you know. And but there were a couple of things that appeared in the picture, the Cold War, and also a documentary on the National Film Board called "If You Love This Planet" about the nuclear stockpiles around the planet, and also a couple of TV movies like The Day After and the one from England, Threads. And these had the strongest impact on me, where the concept became more post-apocalyptic. And when Snake joined and we were looking for a name, I mentioned Voivod, and the other guys were like, "What is it?" And I explained the concept I did for my comic books, and they were like, "This is fucking cool." And I ended up developing it through the 80s, which was great, you know.
Yeah, it's a perfect
Nice.
name for the band and the art. Like it all works together. It's all cohesive. You know, everything fits really well together.
It
Yeah,
You
was
know,
so
as a
science
package.
fiction,
Yeah.
science fiction, post-apocalyptic. You get the horror, fantasy, metal, you know, prog. It's all in this kind of very interesting concept that you've created
Yeah,
for yourself.
and it was fun to sit down with Snake and talk about what was going on back then. The Star Wars project by Reagan, and then shortly after the Challenger explosion, the Chernobyl accident, and then we were like trying to find a way to get the Voivod to go further and further, and I was trying to represent it visually as well, and so we pushed it quite far from some sort of nuclear vampire to the Voivod going into space, and then on another dimension, and then back into his brain for nothing phase. And then at one point, Snake thought he was a bit caught in a box, so that's where we stopped touching it for a while for the Engerat and the outer limits. But for a while, we really were trying to create new characters to throw into the story. It was pretty exciting.
Well, that's awesome. Do
Yeah,
you still
that's really
read
cool.
comic books? Are you still a comic book fan at all, or do you read the Phantom?
If I it's like music for me, where if I have to buy a new album, I will usually buy a new album by an old band that I like, and I was saying, I think Magma, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Vandergraaf Generator. I think they're still really fantastic albums. But it's the same for the artists that influenced me. Like my favorite is Philippe Drouillet, and he drew for Heavy Metal magazine. And if he has a new comic book out, I will buy it, you know. And but I must say, I've been so busy being a rock and roll drummer that I don't really read that many comics anymore. But I still back in the days I was buying Omni magazine and Discover magazine in airports or to go on the road, and that's where Snake and I took a lot of inspiration for the concept. And so I still do that. I buy scientific magazines at airport or on the road, and so that's something that always stayed.
Nice, nice. Well, Michel, we've got some games we always like to play with our guests, and our first game is called Blast Beats. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a question. It's usually a choice, one or the other, and or short answer, and I just want you to give the answers as quickly as possible. All right? Okay,
All right.
let's go. Blast Beats. Hot dog or hamburger?
Burger.
Favorite pizza topping?
Italian sausage.
Paperback or Kindle?
Sorry.
A paperback or a Kindle?
Paperback.
Okay. PC or Apple?
Apple.
Your favorite streaming service?
I actually use the main library streaming service down here in Montreal, which is a bit old school.
All right. Okay. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Cappuccino.
And your
Ooh.
favorite cartoon character? Well, you mentioned Adamant, so we got that already.
Yeah.
Dog or
Yeah.
dog or cat?
Both.
Okay.
Nice.
Marvel or DC?
I will say Marvel, but DC is weirder.
Okay, definitely, yeah.
True.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster?
Bigfoot.
All right. Dracula or Frankenstein?
Dracula.
How do you like your steak cooked?
Well done.
Your favorite sport?
Oh man. I will say hockey.
Okay. Your favorite movie snack?
Popcorn.
Your favorite subject in school?
Chemistry.
Your least favorite subject in school?
Theater.
Your favorite board game?
I think it was called Battleship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Spielberg or Tarantino?
Spielberg.
Okay. The best concert you've ever attended?
The Killers Tour by Iron Maiden.
Excellent.
Which tour?
Killers.
Killers tour?
Killers, the Killers.
Oh wow. Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, I wasn't
And-
even into Maiden at that point.
Yeah, we got in. I got in a Peace of Mind. So yeah.
Yeah.
And the last blast beat question: your favorite scene or favorite line from This Is Spinal Tap?
Well, it's the I have to remember it properly, but it's the classic one. Bullshit walks. I forgot.
Yeah, they're at the party.
Yeah.
Great.
Um,
M-
Money talks,
money
bullshit
talks, bullshit
yeah,
walks.
I'm
I
sorry.
think, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
it was lost in
We're all
translation.
blanked out.
Right, Mike. Yeah, I think that's it. Money talks and bullshit walks. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Good. Nice. Nice. Here's another game we've got. It's called the Hot Seat. And
Okay.
I'm going to name a band, and I want you to tell me your favorite album by that band.
Okay.
Okay. And it's called Hot Seat because people sometimes get a little squirmy, like, they can't figure it out or they don't know the band and they, but anyway, so here we go. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath,
Mob Rules.
Judas Priest,
British Steel.
Scorpions,
Love Drive. Is that the title? Yeah.
Overkill,
You know what? I'm ashamed to say that I'm not that familiar with the titles, although we toured with them and they were good friends.
it's okay. It's all right.
That's why we call this hot seat, because everybody
right.
feels really bad if they don't know a band's
Right.
album.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can't know everybody.
Can't know it all. You can't
Right.
know it
No,
all.
I mean, you have to remember that I come from the new wave of British heavy metal, even though we were part of that thrash metal scene. I'm more familiar with the My Heroes material, definitely.
Okay. Well, we've got a few more to ask you about.
Okay.
Maybe some you'll know, some you don't. Queensryche.
Oh, is it Operation Mindcrime?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody told us it was similar to Damage and Hatros back then.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Motorhead.
Oh, No Sleep Till Hammersmith.
Mm.
I also saw that tour.
Oh, nice.
wow.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carcass.
Oh, Heartwork.
Heartwork's great.
Oh
album.
yeah, that's my fave.
Dio.
Oh, Dio, Holy Diver.
Okay. Metal Church.
I couldn't say, but I saw them at Walk-In. Or no, it was actually at Motor Culture in Bretagne, and I was blown away.
Nice.
Awesome.
The Beatles.
Rubber Soul.
Halloween.
even though they were nice label mates, and I think they're great, I couldn't remember a title of an album.
Okay. Rush.
Rush with the Permanent Wave.
Opeth.
Oh, the latest one.
Oh, in Cauda Venum
Yes.
or in Vena Cauda. Yeah.
Yes, there is one track, I can't recall the name, but everybody was singing in the room when we last fall when they played it, and I actually bought it at their merch booth, and Michael was really, really mad at me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we would love to get Opeth on one day.
He seems like a really fun guy to hang out with.
Yes.
He
That
would be
guy,
fun.
man, is so witty, that guy,
Mhm.
and so quick. Yeah, it was such a fun tour.
I remember we saw him on the Ghost Reveries tour, and after the first song, they kind of stopped and he was introducing, everyone and saying hi, and then he's like, "Does anyone have any questions?" And I'm like, "What?" And it's like my hands go up, and he answered two people's questions. He's like, "Okay, you." I'm like, "Who does this?" At the beginning of a show,
in the concert.
in the concert, asking people if they have questions he can answer. No,
It's
it was
great.
just fantastic.
Yeah, after the first show, with them, I chilled out a bit after our gig, and then I went to watch them. And as soon as I started watching them, he was telling the crowd, "So what about Voivod?" And then people cheered, and he's like, "You know that chord?" And he's like, "It's theirs."
Nice. That's awesome. I love that.
That's
Okay, just a few more on the hot seat, Michel.
Yeah.
King Diamond.
Oh, King Diamond. What was the first one? Melissa or?
Melissa. That was Merciful Fate.
Okay.
Diamond's first one was
Fatal
Okay.
Portrait.
Fatal Portrait.
Oh man, the King Diamond.
But
I
you can do
don't
a Merciful
know.
Fate. That's fine. If you like Melissa, that's fine. You friends both
Yeah,
bands.
I'm definitely more familiar with Merciful Fate. I'm sorry, but we did a tour in the mid-80s, mid-90s with King Diamond. He was doing both Merciful Fate and King Diamond on that tour, which was a really, really amazing 2 shows in a row with the high voice.
wow.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Holy cow.
But yeah, man, you know what? The worst is I have 3 or 4 albums of his, and I couldn't say,
It's
Sorry.
okay. You probably have a lot of music.
I love the fact that you have like personal relationships and stuff with these guys, but don't know the music. Like that's so different. Like we know all the music, but we've never met any of these people. So
Yeah.
I think that's such a
Yeah.
unique perspective. It's so cool.
Yeah,
true.
and then Michael gets
Yeah.
mad for you for buying one of their CDs. That's like the best,
Well, we played with Merciful Fate in Montreal in '84, and then after we played, and after we finished, Snake dropped the microphone on the floor, and somebody pulled the wire, and took off with the microphone, and so we were gonna get paid $300, but the microphone was worth $260. So we got paid $40.
Nice.
Oh man.
Well, I got 2 more bands I want to ask you about, or 3. Okay, Slayer.
Oh man, the first one with Die by the Sword.
Haunting the
what's
Chapel.
Show No Mercy.
Show No Mercy. Okay, yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
This was almost hardcore music back then. I was really into Discharge and everything, and it fit right, and
Nice. Okay, Kiss. Since you had Kiss Alive, what's your favorite Kiss album?
Oh, Love Gun.
And last, Voivod.
Favorite album from Voivod. Oof, I'm very proud of War and Pain, but I'm proud of every album, of course. I think Killing Technology. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Early stuff.
All right. Yeah. And our last game I want to play with you, this is called Name That Festival. Voivod is playing a festival with 2 other artists. I'm going to spin the wheel of mystery to find these two other bands, and then I'd like you to name the festival that you're all playing at. So let me see if I can share my screen here. All right. Let's see, can you see the screen here, Michel?
Oh, just
Yes.
popped up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to spin. This is our Wheel of Mystery, and we're going to see which two other bands VOIVOD is playing with, and it could be all kinds of different musical genres. Oh, our first one, Beyonce. All right, Beyonce.
What a
Nice,
show.
nice.
What a show.
Beyonce, and it's coming around. Looks like
Ice Cube. Oh, wait a minute.
Ice Cube,
That's
the
Ice Cube.
rapper. Ice
Ice
Cube and
Cube.
Beyonce and
VOIVOD.
VOIVOD.
Oh, man.
That's a pretty amazing lineup. Okay, Michel, what would you name that festival?
Oh,
Man, that's a toughie.
It is
Holy cow.
yeah.
Oh, Ice Cube, Beyonce,
Ice
and
Cube.
VOIVOD.
Like a non-existing festival.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. Nice, nice. Oh, that's good. That's good.
No.
We are all fans of other artists, and we like to collect memorabilia, whether it's autographs or things like that. What is your favorite piece of memorabilia that you have from another artist you admire?
Oh, trying to figure if I have anything from an artist that I admire. Nope.
Just not a collector, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
Not a collector.
Oh man, I'm trying to think, and oh yes, I do have something that I will never sell, always keep preciously. It's when we did the Fate No More Soundgarden Voivod tour for Nothing Face in 1990 across USA. Chris Cornell did a painting for me. It's done on a cafeteria tray, and it says on the back, it says Fire Clown for Away. So it's like a big flaming face of a clown. It's really, really wonderful. So that's that's what I can think of.
Oh, that would
Very
be
nice.
amazing.
That is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
As we had mentioned earlier, you've got this big plans for the 40th anniversary of VOIVOD and touring Europe and the States. And now you've got this great lineup here with Testament and Exodus, two of our favorite bands.
What an awesome show.
I know, it's going to be an
Holy
amazing
cow.
show. How did this tour lineup come about?
Well, I think it's probably because of the Open Tour, where we suddenly got offered this great bill across Europe, but also bigger festivals like Hellfest, Wacken, and this year. So I would say that the Open Tour was a great investment for us in that sense. But we also played last year in June with Exodus in the state of New York, where we were introduced, VOIVOD, where we were introduced into the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, and we had a great blast with these guys, and it might have helped. And also, when we reformed in 2008, we were immediately invited by Testament to play Tokyo with them 2 nights, and at the Trash Domination Festival, and we stayed very good buddies, and we had played with them in the 80s, but yeah, so these are 3 bands, 3 old school bands that really get along. It should be very, very cool.
Yeah,
it's still putting out great music.
Yeah, all 3 bands are
Great
putting
music.
out amazing music.
Yeah.
Yeah, we it's going to be a great show. So you're touring Europe and then bringing to the States. Are you at liberty to saying like where at in the United States you're going to be playing? Because this would be a hell of a show to go see. Are you coming to Ohio? Are you coming to the Cleveland area perhaps? Maybe I could just narrow the search.
It's actually we had to to cut the tour short to go with Exodus and Testament, because the offer came all of a sudden, and so it's going to be mainly eastern part of USA, but we are going to Texas at the end, but it's right. We are headlining, and it's probably going to be announced like this week, early February, and so but I can't really say where right now and with whom. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. We know those things are kept secret for a
Mhm.
reason, until the announcements are made, and that's completely fine. We understand, but we appreciate that. So we'd love to come see you sometime. But if you ever are in Cleveland, if we get a chance to come see you, we'll make sure to say hi. We'll come
Yeah,
by.
yeah.
I'm sure you'll remember us.
Yeah, right. Right. We're so memorable.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
How can
That's
you
right.
forget these faces, huh? Yeah.
That's right. There's one last thing we'd like to ask, Michel, if you don't mind. We always like to ask for our guests to provide a bumper for us. You can say, this is Michel Langevin of VOIVOD, and you're watching and listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Would you be able to do something like that for us?
Heavy metal horror. All right. Hello, this is Michel Langevin from VOIVOD, and you're listening and watching Heavy Metal Horror Podcast.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on our show today. We've tried to be mindful of your time. We don't want to keep you all evening, and we certainly appreciate the time that you spent with us and getting to know you a little bit. And we are really excited to hopefully see you sometime in the States later on this year.
Yeah, well, again, we have such a loyal following that we don't take it for granted. So we'll really be happy to go on tour again. And we always, after the show, go to the merch booth to hang out, take photos, sign everything that we can. And
Oh, nice.
we can't wait.
Oh, that's going to be great. That's going to be great. Wonderful. So we're going to do our outro, and we're going to invite you to join us when we say Heavy Metal Horror and bring up the horns. So, all right. Hey, this has been Montag Mass Revolution. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I haven't done that yet. I got to do our commercial. We got a commercial. Hold on. Just give us 10 more
we have
seconds.
a long break. It's okay.
That's right.
No,
Yeah, we're a little rusty. So it's all right.
Pull it
okay.
together, man.
I know. I got my notes right here in front of me. You can find Heavy Metal Horror on unsaneradio.com. Listen to full episodes or download to your device. You can find us on Facebook, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. On Instagram, look for Montag Lewis, one word. Our YouTube page, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. If you're watching, that's probably where you're at. But we're also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And we're also on Roku, Hotel Metal Jam. If you know someone who'd like our show, tell them about us. Now we go. This has been Montag, Mass Revolution.
Chop top.
And Dreadbull.
And you've been watching and listening to, all right, Michel, bring up the horns. Heavy Metal Horror.
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.